The countdown to rugby's greatest rivalry is gathering pace, and a fascinating warning has emerged from former Springboks head coach Nick Mallett, who believes South Africa could be facing a far more dangerous All Blacks side than many expected just a few weeks ago. While New Zealand may have started their July campaign with questions hanging over them, Mallett says the transformation under new head coach Rennie has been impossible to ignore, and if that upward trend continues, the Springboks will have one of their toughest challenges yet. Speaking after reviewing the All Blacks' unbeaten July campaign, Mallett acknowledged that New Zealand were far from convincing in the early stages of the Nations Championship, but he also stressed that great teams are judged by how quickly they improve, not simply by how they begin. Under Rennie, the All Blacks collected 3 wins from 3 matches against France, Italy and Ireland, with each performance showing noticeable progress. According to Mallett, that steady improvement is exactly what should concern Springbok supporters ahead of the blockbuster clashes between rugby's 2 greatest rivals. Reflecting on New Zealand's opening victory over France, Mallett admitted the All Blacks were fortunate to escape with the win after being pushed all the way by a talented French side. Even without several established stars, France demonstrated the remarkable depth that has made them one of the strongest teams in world rugby, forcing New Zealand into an extremely physical and demanding contest. Yet instead of allowing that difficult opening encounter to derail their confidence, the All Blacks responded positively, gaining valuable lessons that appeared to shape everything that followed. The second test against Italy, however, offered another reminder that this New Zealand team was still very much a work in progress. Mallet did not hold back in his assessment, describing the All Blacks' first-half performance as dreadful and suggesting they were fortunate to remain within striking distance at half-time. Italy challenged them physically and exposed several weaknesses, but the story changed dramatically after the break. New Zealand lifted their intensity, tightened their execution and capitalized as Italy faded, producing a far stronger second-half display that ultimately secured another victory. But for Mallet, it was the final match against Ireland that truly revealed the potential of Rennie's side. In his view, the All Blacks took a massive step forward, producing their most complete performance of the campaign. Whether Ireland's long and exhausting season played a role or not, Mallet believes New Zealand deserve enormous credit for the quality of their display. Their defensive line speed improved significantly, they denied Sam Prendergast valuable time on the ball, and they carried with purpose and confidence throughout the match. More importantly, they looked increasingly comfortable with the style of rugby that Rennie appears determined to establish. Rather than relying purely on physical confrontation, the All Blacks combined smart ball carrying with width, intelligent support lines and accurate tactical kicking. For Mallet, that combination could become the blueprint for New Zealand's success against the Springboks if they can reproduce it consistently. The former South African coach believes South Africa will naturally bring enormous physicality to the contest, something the All Blacks have always expected whenever these 2 giants collide. However, he argued that New Zealand's greatest strength lies not in trying to overpower the Springboks directly, but in finding clever ways to avoid becoming trapped in those collisions. Instead of simply matching force with force, the All Blacks aim to beat defenders with footwork, step through contact and keep the ball alive through skillful offloads. That style, Mallet warned, could create significant problems for South Africa if their defensive system allows attacking players to free their hands after contact. He explained that teams like France, Scotland and New Zealand all share a similar attacking philosophy. Rather than going through repetitive phase play from one ruck to the next, they seek to maintain relentless momentum by passing immediately after contact, stretching defensive structures and creating opportunities before defenders have time to reset. It is a brand of rugby built on speed, decision-making and continuous movement, and according to Mallet, the All Blacks execute it exceptionally well when they are at their best. That means the Springboks cannot simply rely on winning the physical battle. They must also remain disciplined in defense, shutting down offloads, controlling space and preventing New Zealand from generating the quick attacking rhythm that has historically made them one of the most feared teams in international rugby. Mallet was particularly impressed by the balance the All Blacks displayed against Ireland, praising the way their forwards carried aggressively while their backs exploited width through a sophisticated 2-tier attacking structure. He also highlighted their tactical kicking, describing it as intelligent and highly effective in turning Ireland around and forcing them to play from deep positions. That blend of direct power, expansive attack, and smart territory management is precisely the type of complete performance that has traditionally defined successful New Zealand teams. While the Springboks remain one of the strongest and deepest squads in world rugby under Rassie Erasmus, Mallett believes South Africa cannot afford to underestimate the rapid progress being made across the Tasman. Winning breeds confidence, and every passing match appears to be strengthening the All Blacks' belief in Rennie's system. With 3 victories already secured and momentum continuing to build, New Zealand are arriving at rugby's greatest rivalry with growing confidence and an evolving game plan that could test every aspect of the Springboks' defence. As anticipation reaches fever pitch, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The All Blacks who stumbled through difficult moments against France and Italy may not be the same team that takes the field against South Africa. If the performance against Ireland truly represents their new standard, then the Springboks are likely to face an opponent full of belief, attacking ambition, and tactical intelligence.
The road to rugby's greatest rivalry has taken an intriguing turn, and one of South African rugby's most respected voices believes the Springboks should not be fooled by how the All Blacks began their campaign. Former Springboks head coach Nick Mallett has delivered a timely warning, insisting that New Zealand have grown stronger with every passing match under new head coach Rennie. And if their latest performance is any indication of what is still to come, South Africa could be preparing for one of the most demanding test series of the modern era. While many supporters have focused on the Springboks' remarkable depth and consistency under Rassie Erasmus, Mallett believes there is another storyline quietly unfolding across the Tasman Sea. It is the rapid evolution of an All Black side that looked vulnerable only weeks ago but now appears to be rediscovering the qualities that have made New Zealand one of rugby's most feared nations for generations. Speaking about the All Blacks' July campaign, Mallett acknowledged that there is often a tendency to judge a new coach too quickly after 1 or 2 performances, but he argued that what matters most is whether a team is improving. In Rennie's case, the answer appears to be an emphatic yes. 3 matches, 3 victories and a squad that looks increasingly comfortable with its identity have dramatically changed the mood surrounding the All Blacks. For Mallet, that steady progression is far more significant than the imperfections shown in their opening fixtures because international rugby is rarely about reaching perfection overnight. It is about building confidence, learning from mistakes and peaking when the biggest challenges arrive. According to Mallet, the All Blacks experienced exactly that journey throughout July. Their opening encounter against France was anything but comfortable. New Zealand may have walked away with the victory, but the performance left plenty of unanswered questions. France, despite missing several established stars, demonstrated the remarkable depth that has become one of their defining strengths in recent years. The French pack challenged the All Blacks physically, their defensive pressure created uncertainty, and for long periods New Zealand struggled to impose themselves. Mallet described the match as a genuine scare, suggesting the All Blacks were fortunate to escape with the result. Yet he also pointed out that difficult victories often become the foundation upon which great teams are built. Rather than allowing the experience to expose them permanently, New Zealand appeared to treat it as an early wake-up call. The second test against Italy brought another mixed performance. While many expected the All Blacks to dominate from the opening whistle, the reality proved very different. Italy produced one of their most competitive displays in recent memory and unsettled New Zealand throughout the first half. Mallet did not hesitate in describing those opening 40 minutes as dreadful from the All Blacks' perspective. Their execution lacked accuracy, their decision-making appeared rushed and they struggled to control the tempo of the contest. However, what impressed him was not the poor first half but the response that followed. Great international teams find solutions when matches begin slipping away, and New Zealand did exactly that. Their intensity increased dramatically after the interval, their ball carrying became more direct, their support play improved and they gradually overwhelmed an Italian side that could no longer maintain the same physical intensity. By the final whistle, another victory had been secured, but perhaps more importantly, another lesson had been learned. Then came the performance that truly caught Nick Mallett's attention. Against Ireland, the All Blacks looked transformed. Gone was the uncertainty that had characterized parts of their previous outings. Instead, New Zealand played with confidence, precision and purpose, producing what Mallet believes was comfortably their best display under Rennie so far. Whether Ireland's demanding season contributed to their struggles remains open to debate, but Mallet insists that should not diminish what the All Blacks achieved. Their defensive line speed improved significantly, placing enormous pressure on Ireland's attacking structure from the very beginning. Sam Prendergast found himself under constant pressure, with little time to organise Ireland's attack, while New Zealand's defensive organisation looked sharper and far more aggressive than it had only weeks earlier. Yet defence was only one part of the story. The attacking improvements may have been even more impressive. Mallet praised the way New Zealand blended traditional forward power with their trademark expansive style of rugby. Rather than relying solely on brute force, the All Blacks constantly searched for space, using intelligent support lines, clever passing patterns and rapid ball movement to stretch the Irish defence. Their forwards carried with real authority, creating momentum before releasing dangerous runners into wider channels. The backs then capitalised on that platform with quick hands, sharp angles and excellent communication. It was the kind of balanced performance that has long been associated with the All Blacks at their very best. Perhaps what impressed Mallet most was the intelligence behind New Zealand's tactical approach. Instead of forcing risky attacking opportunities, they mixed their running game with carefully judged kicking that repeatedly turned Ireland around and forced them to launch attacks from deep inside their own territory. This combination of tactical kicking, aggressive defence and creative attack gave New Zealand complete control over long periods of the contest. For Mallet, this is the blueprint that the All Blacks must follow when they arrive in South Africa. If they can reproduce that same balance against the Springboks, the series could become incredibly complicated for Rassie Erasmus' men. The former Springboks coach believes South Africa will naturally attempt to dominate the collisions and impose their trademark physicality, but he warned that New Zealand have never tried to win by simply matching brute force with brute force. Instead, the All Blacks have traditionally searched for smarter solutions. They aim to beat defenders before contact, use footwork to create uncertainty,